A cop stands at the gates of a billionaire's estate, holding a tiny, battered pink backpack. It doesn't belong here. Not among fountains and glass walls and security drones. But it's here anyway. Because the little girl who used to carry it isn't. Inside, Elijah Vance watches security footage. Over and over. No sound. Just the same clip looping again. A little girl. 7 years old. Thin. Wearing the backpack. Marching right up to his front door. She knocks once. Smiles. Then turns around and walks away. Every day. For 53 days in a row. And now she's gone. Not a note. Not a goodbye. Not a trace. And for the first time in a decade, Elijah feels something raw. Fear. Not for her. For what it means that he's scared at all. He never asked who she was. She just showed up one afternoon. Shoes too big. Hair unbrushed. Eyes way too old for her face. She walked up to the mansion like she'd done it 100 times. Smiled up at the door. Knocked once. Then walked back the way she came. No words. No demands. The first day, Elijah ignored it. The second day, he watched her through the cameras. By the 5th day, he was waiting. 3:14 p.m. Every day. Like clockwork. She became a glitch in his perfectly programmed life. And he couldn't stop watching. He never opened the door. Didn't wave. Didn't speak. Didn't engage. But he noticed when it rained and she showed up anyway. When her jacket got smaller. When she limped once but still smiled. He told himself he didn't care. He lied. Elijah used to feel things once. Before the fire. Before the lawsuits. Before the silence. He had a younger brother. They shared bunk beds and candy bars and bedtime secrets. Then one night, the house caught fire. A faulty heater. Too much smoke. Too many locked doors. Elijah got out. His brother didn't. He never talked about it. He just built. Code. Companies. Walls. Doors were for keeping things out. Especially people. And still. Sophie knocked. He didn't know her name then. Didn't need to. She came from the alley behind the mansion. A foster shelter barely held together by duct tape and underpaid staff. She wasn't like the other kids who begged at events or held signs. She never asked for food. Never tried to speak to him. Never even looked confused about what she was doing. She just knocked. Smiled. Left. Like it was a game. Or maybe a test. He started to need the knock. It anchored him. Like a heartbeat. Until day 54. Nothing. No knock. No pink backpack. No flash of curly hair on the cameras. Just silence. He rewinds the footage. She's there. Same time. Same walk. But this time, she turns around, slower. And a black van pulls up across the street. No plates. No markings. She looks at it. Then disappears. He watches it again. And again. His hands shake. He calls the police. They ask a dozen questions he can't answer. Her name? No idea. Your relationship? None. Why are you reporting this? Because she came every day. Because he didn't open the door. Because now she's gone. They file a report. But he hears it in their voices. She's just another kid in the system. She's probably with the state, one officer says. These things happen. But no, not like this. Not her. The next day, Elijah waits. Nothing. The day after that, still nothing. The door is silent. And he hates it. He's been called a genius. A giant. A shark. But now, sitting in his spotless home filled with tech and trophies, all he can think is, she knocked. And I never opened the door. Now. I might never get the chance to. Elijah doesn't sleep. He replays the footage again. And again. She's right there on the edge of his property. Pink backpack bouncing. Then gone. He zooms in. Pauses frames. Tries to catch a license plate on the van. Nothing. He calls the shelter behind his estate. The one she likely came from. No answer. He drives there himself. The alley smells like mold and motor oil. The front door is chained shut. Spray paint across the wall reads, "Condemned." He finds a notice stapled to the side. Shelter closed. Code violations. All minors relocated. No forwarding address. No names. No records. Just like that, they erased her. A billionaire with private investigators, AI assistants, and satellite imaging. And he still can't find a 7-year-old girl with a smile that haunted his front porch. He calls city services. Gets transferred, then dropped. Someone finally tells him she's probably in a group home now. Somewhere in the system. But where? Sir, even we don't always know. He hangs up. And for the first time, Elijah Vance, the man who built an empire from algorithms, feels completely useless. The next morning, he drives to City Hall. Files public record requests. Pays a ridiculous expedited processing fee to a clerk who doesn't recognize him. He waits in line like everybody else. And that's when it hits him. This is what she lived in. Bureaucracy. Neglect. Vanishing paper trails. She knocked on his door not because she expected it to open, but because she was hoping someone still knew how to open one. He didn't. But he's going to now. He doesn't go home. Instead, he drives. City to city. Knocking on their doors this time. Children's shelters. Foster offices. Anyone who might have seen a thin little girl with a pink backpack and a knock that didn't ask it invited. Most say they don't know anything. One receptionist in a tired office glances up from her lunch and says, if she came from that shelter near Holloway Street, they probably sent her to Franklin Grove. What's Franklin Grove? You'll see. She's not wrong. Franklin Grove is gray, cracked, and built like a warehouse. Technically a transitional housing center for minors. But it looks more like a forgotten prison. He walks in. No appointment. The woman at the front desk doesn't look up. No visitors unless you're pre-approved. I'm not a visitor. I don't care if you're the mayor. He tries again. Explains he's looking for a specific child. Still no. He offers money. The woman hardens. We're not for sale here. He turns to leave, defeated. But something through the barred window in the hallway stops him. A flash of pink. He walks toward it, slow. Careful. There she is. Sophie. Sitting alone on a rusted bench in the yard. No backpack. Just a juice box in her lap. Her shoes are different now. One sock torn. And she's thinner. Too thin. She stares at the ground. Expression blank. He knocks softly on the window. She looks up. Meets his eyes. But she doesn't smile. She doesn't wave. She turns away. And just like that, the knock is on him now. Elijah walks back to the car, every step heavier than the last. He had the chance. For 53 days, he had the chance. And he blew it. He didn't open the door. Didn't earn her trust. Now, he's just another adult who waited too long. But he's not done. He drives home, pulls up the foster care application, and starts typing. History of parenting? None. Home inspections required? He schedules one. Background check? Clean. Surprisingly. He clicks submit. Then calls the Franklin Grove office again. He asks for updates. They won't give any. So he drives back. Every day. They still don't let him in. But he doesn't stop showing up. He brings snacks for the front desk. Fixes a broken bench in the yard. Paints over graffiti. Pulls weeds. Clears broken glass. The staff ignore him at first. The kids watch him like he's a ghost. But over time, things shift. One girl waves. A boy with mismatched shoes asks for help with a soccer ball. Elijah helps. Every time. But Sophie doesn't come near him. She stays on the far side of the yard, under the same tree. Watching. Quiet. One afternoon, she gets up. Walks across the yard. Hands him a folded piece of paper. Then walks away. He opens it. It's a drawing. His mansion. The front door wide open. And beneath it, in shaky, crayon handwriting. You were always home. You just forgot how to let people in. Elijah reads the crayon note again. You were always home. You just forgot how to let people in. His fingers tighten around the paper. For years, no one could reach him. Not investors, not employees, not even family. But this 7-year-old she got through with a single sentence and a box of crayons. He walks back to his car, sits behind the wheel, and doesn't drive away. He can't. Because now, Sophie is waiting. Not at his door anymore. But in her silence. In the space between what he didn't do and what he has to do now. He goes back the next morning. Same bench. Same kids. He brings breakfast this time. Real food. Pancakes. Syrup. The woman at the front desk raises an eyebrow. This isn't a hotel. He shrugs. I know. But they deserve better than powdered eggs. She doesn't smile. But she doesn't throw it away either. By day 3, kids start lining up when they see his car. He helps with homework. Fixes a wobbly swing. Lets a toddler braid his hair with juice-sticky fingers. But still, Sophie keeps her distance. Until one day, he's raking leaves and hears a soft voice behind him. You missed a spot. He turns. She's standing a few feet away. Arms crossed. Hoodie too big. But there's a flicker of the old Sophie, the one who knocked. He smiles. Doesn't move. You're right, he says. I'm terrible at this. She shrugs. You're getting better. That's all. She walks away again. But this time, slower. Elijah knows better than to rush this. The next day, she joins him while he paints the fence. They don't talk much. She points where he missed a spot. He hands her the brush. They paint together in silence. It's more conversation than he's had with anyone in months. That night, he fills out the foster application again. The first one was rejected. He had no parenting history. No references. No proof he could care for a child. But now, he has something else. Consistency. And witnesses. The staff at the center vouch for him. The kids speak up. One even says he fixed the water heater with duct tape and YouTube. That counts, right? Sophie doesn't say much. But one day, she walks into the office, slips her hand into Elijah's, and says to the director, If he wants to try again, I'll wait. That changes everything. The case is reopened. A court hearing is scheduled. And suddenly, Elijah Vance, the man who's never lost a boardroom battle, is sweating over a family court date. The night before the hearing, he sits alone on his mansion steps. For the first time, the silence doesn't feel safe. It feels heavy. He wonders what he'll say. What if he messes it up? What if she changes her mind? He doesn't sleep. At 6 a.m., he puts on a suit. Then takes it off. He shows up in jeans, a button-down, and nervous energy he can't disguise. The courtroom isn't grand. No cameras. Just a judge, a clerk, and a few overworked lawyers. The judge flips through the file. You've had no children before. No foster experience. No certifications. Why now? Elijah clears his throat. I never opened the door. She knocked for 53 days. And I never opened it. The judge raises an eyebrow. You're talking about your house? Yes. But also me. He continues. I built walls after my brother died. I shut everyone out. Even the good. Especially the good. But she didn't care. She just kept knocking. He pauses. She didn't ask for anything. She just showed up. Until one day, she didn't. And I realized everything I built meant nothing if I didn't have someone to open the door for. The courtroom is still. The judge nods slowly. Then looks to Sophie, sitting in the front row. Sophie, would you like to speak? She stands up. Walks to the front. doesn't say a word, just lifts her hand and knocks once on the judge's desk. A small, quiet knock. Elijah's breath catches. She turns to him, finally smiling again. "Now you can open it," she says. And for the first time, he does. The gavel falls. Custody granted. Elijah doesn't cry in public. He hasn't in years. Maybe decades. But when Sophie knocks on that judge's desk, soft, certain, like it meant everything and nothing at the same time, he breaks. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a quiet release. Head bowed. Shoulders shaking. A sound escapes his chest that he didn't even know was stuck there. And Sophie? She doesn't flinch. She steps forward. Reaches out. Takes his hand. Just like that. The courtroom doesn't clap. There's no music. Just stillness. And something sacred in the silence. They ride home together. Not to a shelter. Not to a group home. To the place with the towering gates and silent halls. Elijah holds the door open for her. The same one she knocked on for 53 days. This time, she walks through without hesitation. "Bit big," she says, looking up at the ceiling. "You get used to it," he replies, trying not to sound nervous. She drops her backpack, her new one, on the floor. But next to it, she places something else. A drawing. Same as before. His mansion. Door wide open. Stars in the sky. But now, two stick figures stand in the doorway. One tall. One small. Both smiling. He frames it that night. The next few days feel strange. Not in a bad way. In a starting over way. Elijah clears out a whole wing of the house and turns it into Sophie's space. Not a guest room. Not somewhere to stay. Her room. They paint the walls together. She picks a ridiculous shade of purple. He says it's too bright. She says, "It's supposed to be happy. You'll adjust." She's right. She decorates with glow-in-the-dark stars, glitter slime, and picture books stacked like skyscrapers. The mansion starts to sound different. Footsteps. Laughter. The occasional argument with a vacuum robot. One morning, Sophie knocks on his office door. Then opens it before he can answer. "You live here now," she says, grinning. He raises an eyebrow. "Pretty sure you do." "Both of us," she shrugs. "I'm just reminding you." She keeps doing it. Every morning, she knocks on his door before breakfast. Sometimes it's a joke. Sometimes it's just because. And every time, he opens it. They start building routines. Tuesdays are library runs. Fridays are pizza and movies. Sundays? Pancakes. Always with too much syrup. Elijah, who used to run 5 companies in 12 departments, now spends an entire afternoon searching for a missing teddy bear. And when they finally find it in the freezer, somehow Sophie declares him the best boss of stuffed animals. He takes the title seriously. One day, she asks if she can invite someone over. He says yes before even asking who. An hour later, there's a soft knock at the gate. It's a boy. Maybe 9 years old. Nervous. backpack half-zipped. From Sophie's old shelter. "Hi," he says. She said, "You open doors now?" Elijah kneels down. "I do," he says. "Come on in." The boy walks inside slowly. Cautiously. Like it might be a trick. But Sophie meets him at the door, grabs his hand, and pulls him straight to the playroom. That night, Elijah cooks enough for 4. The boy eats like he hasn't had seconds in weeks. The next day, there's another knock. A girl this time. Shy. Holding a drawing. Then another knock. And another. Word spreads fast when kindness isn't a rumor anymore. The mansion fills. Not chaotically. Not instantly. But steadily. Quietly. More kids show up. Some stay for a weekend. Some longer. They don't all come from Sophie's old shelter. Some come from referrals, from caseworkers who heard whispers about the rich guy with the open door. Elijah opens them all. He builds bunk beds. Installs extra lights. Stocks up on snacks. His office becomes a craft room half the time. His meetings? Fewer. Lighter. He delegates what doesn't matter anymore. Because now this does. This place isn't cold marble and surveillance anymore. It's a home. One night, after a loud, messy, beautiful dinner, Sophie curls up next to him on the couch. She's half asleep. Holding his hand. "You know," she mumbles, "you used to look like a statue." "Thanks." She yawns. "Now you look like someone who remembers stuff." He smiles. "What stuff?" She shrugs. "How to open things." She drifts off. He watches the stars glow on the ceiling, her crayon constellations still taped to the wall. And for the first time in forever, Elijah Vance doesn't feel alone. Not even a little. The mansion is full now. Not crowded, but full. Of sound. Of color. Of life. Crayon stars still glow on the ceiling. Shoes pile up at the front door. Someone's always chasing a soccer ball down the hall or arguing over whose turn it is to feed the fish. There's joy in the mess. And Elijah doesn't just tolerate it, he treasures it. Once, the silence here was a fortress. Now, it feels like a room where everyone's voice belongs. He's not Mr. Vance anymore. He's just Elijah. Sometimes E. Sometimes Uncle Tech Guy. And once on a sticky note taped to the fridge, Sophie called him. Almost Dad. Maybe Dad. The door opener. He kept it. It's still on the fridge. Every child that comes has their own story. One can't sleep without the hallway light on. Another eats with one arm guarding their plate. One girl clutches a phone with no battery, waiting for a call that's never coming. Elijah never asks what they've been through. He doesn't have to. He sees it in how they flinch, how they test boundaries, how they apologize too quickly. He doesn't fix them. He just stays. One day at a time. One knock at a time. That's the new rhythm. Sometimes, they ask why he does it. He usually gives a simple answer, because someone should. But once, late at night, one boy asked again. Elijah didn't dodge it. Because I spent most of my life building things that made me feel powerful, he said. But power never held my hand. Power didn't make me pancakes. Power never knocked on my door and waited for me to remember how to be human. The boy didn't say anything. Just nodded, like he understood more than he should. Sophie's growing. Not just taller, but brighter. She speaks more now. Corrects his spelling. Teaches the younger kids how to hold scissors safely. She knocks on his door every morning still. Even when it's open. It's their thing. Routine builds trust, she says, parroting something she once heard him say. He laughs. You're going to run this place someday. She tilts her head. Maybe. But you're still the doorman. I thought I was the almost dad? You're both. And he is. He goes to school events. He learns how to braid hair badly. He sits through long conversations about imaginary dragons, cartoon theories, and why juice tastes better through curly straws. Some days are hard. A kid runs away. Another lies about bruises. A social worker forgets a name. The system still moves slowly. Still gets it wrong. But Elijah doesn't stop. He hires case advocates, therapists, tutors. He turns the guest house into an aftercare classroom. The staff? Former foster kids. Now grown. He listens to their ideas, pays them well, and gives them keys to rooms that were once locked to them. Sophie starts drawing again. Not just doors. She draws people now. A whole wall in the playroom becomes a mural. Stick figures everywhere. One's in a wheelchair. One's got glasses. Some are holding hands. One's flying. At the center, a house. Big. With windows wide open. And beside it? A little girl knocking. Above it all, in block letters. Home isn't a place. It's a person who opens the door. Elijah just stares at it for a while. Then he gets up. Walks to the art store. Buys 6 more cans of paint. Because this mural? It's not done. Not even close. Weeks later, Elijah walks into the dining room and freezes. There are now 5 kids seated at the table. One's wearing a superhero cape made from a dish towel. They're all arguing about which cereal mascot is strongest. Sophie's at the head of the table, pouring milk for everyone. She sees him and grins. You're late. He blinks. I didn't realize I was required for cereal court. You are. You're the judge now. He sits down. They hand him a spoon. And somewhere between the sugary chaos and laughter bouncing off the walls, it hits him. This is it. This is everything. This is what it feels like to be home. Outside, another car pulls up. A caseworker steps out with a boy in the back seat. He's quiet. Holding a plastic bag with all his belongings. No words. Just wary eyes. Elijah walks to the door. He doesn't hesitate anymore. He opens it wide. The boy steps forward slowly. You the guy with the cereal and the stars on the ceiling? He asks. Yep, Elijah says. And the bad jokes too. Can I stay? If you knock, Elijah smiles. The boy raises his hand. Knocks once. Now you can, Elijah says, stepping aside. The door used to be heavy. Now, it opens like second nature. Every morning, Sophie knocks. Same rhythm. Same smile. Even if it's already open, she still knocks. And Elijah still answers. "You live here now," he says every time. "I know," she grins. "But I want you to remember. The house has changed. There are dishes in the sink now. Laughter bouncing off the walls. Crayon murals climbing down the hallway. Shoes of every size pile by the entrance. Sticky notes on the fridge. Half-finished puzzles on the dining room table. It doesn't look perfect. It looks loved. New kids come through the front gate every week. Some stay for a night. Some longer. They arrive with nothing but a bag and a question in their eyes. Elijah never asks for their story. He just opens the door, kneels to their level, and says, "If you knock, you're welcome." And they do. Some gently. Some like it's the last knock they'll ever be allowed. But they knock. And he answers. Sophie starts leaving notes in unexpected places. Bathroom mirror. Inside the cereal box. Glued to the back of Elijah's laptop. Each one has just a few words. Don't forget who you are. Someone's watching how you show up. This door saved both of us. He saves everyone. Tucks them in a box labeled, "Knocks That Matter." They celebrate her adoption day with cereal and cartoons. No speeches. No decorations. Just quiet joy. She climbs onto the couch beside him, wearing mismatched socks and a lopsided braid. "You ever think about how weird it all was?" she asks. He smiles. "Every day. And if I'd stopped knocking just one day earlier?" He pauses. "Then I'd still be asleep, in a house with no sound." She leans against him. "But you woke up," she whispers. He nods. "I did. Because you didn't stop knocking." One evening, there's another knock. Late. Rain dripping off the roof. Elijah opens the door. It's a boy. Maybe 12. Tight grip on a grocery bag full of clothes. A busted shoe. A look that says, "I don't trust you yet, but I want to." "I don't need charity," he mutters. Elijah doesn't flinch. "You're not getting charity," he says. "You're getting pancakes." The boy stares. "Do I have to knock again or what?" Elijah steps aside. "No. That one was enough." The front hallway gets crowded. More drawings on the walls. More noise. More life. The pink backpack still hangs near the door. Faded. Torn. Untouched. Sophie taped a sticky note above it. "This backpack changed a man's life. Handle with wonder." One night, the kids ask Elijah what made him start all this. He doesn't have a speech. He just says, "A girl knocked. And I waited too long to open the door." Then he adds, softer. "But not anymore." Somewhere along the way, the house stopped being his. It became theirs. And when people ask if he's proud of what he's built, he smiles. Because for once, it's not a company or a codebase or a brand. It's a home. Made from second chances, spilled juice, bedtime stories, and knocks that never gave up. And maybe that's the part that matters most. Not that Sophie found her forever place. Not that Elijah changed, but that they changed each other through presence, through patience, and through a door that finally opened. If you're still listening, maybe this wasn't just Sophie's story. Maybe it was yours, too. Maybe there's a knock you've been ignoring, or a door you've been afraid to open. But hear this. Sometimes, the knock isn't just a question. It's an invitation. To love. To change. To come home. And if this story opens something in you, you're already halfway there. We're still here. The door's open. Always.